Dark Northwest is a horror-themed podcast that is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Thank you for listening to Episode 7 of Dark Northwest. Before we begin, we have an exciting announcement. On Thursday, October 30th at 7 p.m. Pacific, we'll be hosting a special YouTube live event at youtube.com/darknwpodcast to celebrate the finale of Season 1. Join us for a Q&A with the cast and crew, a live listen of Episode 8, and an exclusive early debut of Episode 9. You can find the link in the episode description. Don't forget to rate, review, and check out darknw.com to find out how you can support this independent production. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
You are listening to Dark Northwest, created by Kirsten Fay and Ron Liotta, starring Arden, Kirsten Fay, Robbie Clifford, and Ron Liotta, narrated by Alex Gardapi, featuring Cassandra Schwartz, John Badur, Andrew Lathan, and Zephyr Moon. Music by Aaron Edens.
In the office of the president of the Great Northern Railway Company in St. Paul, far away from the Cascade winter storm, James J. Hill, the company's founder and now retired chairman, had stepped in to fill the role of president, which was temporarily vacated by his son, who was on a 6-week vacation with his wife and children.
Sir, it's the Seattle Union Record on the line asking for you.
The press? What do they want?
They're asking about the switchmen's strike and wondering if a failure to reach an agreement is what led to those 2 trains being stuck at Stevens Pass.
Oh, for Christ's sake! This is exactly what those muckrakers would cling on to. They're so desperate to exploit the anxious and weak-minded progressive public to fill their own greedy pockets. Who's the general manager in the Northwest region now?
That'd be Gruber, sir.
Ring up Gruber. Tell him to head to Washington State right away to assist O'Neill in person, and to pick up Superintendent Emerson and whatever trainloads of extra men and equipment he needs to get the railroad moving in. And tell the press we have our top officials working overtime on it.
Yes, sir.
Meanwhile, at Wellington, in the superintendent's business car.
Hot dog. I finally got more than a wink of sleep for the first time in 5 nights. I've got to get back to it. Trainmaster, you're in charge at Wellington.
Superintendent, sir, you only slept for an hour. With respect, are you sure you should be going out like this?
I have no choice. We had to strand the double rotary last night. We're down to our last working rotary on the mountain. There are more plows on the way, but at this point, after losing so many men to the walk-off, I hate to admit it. It might be a few more days before we get these trains off the mountain.
I see, sir. What exactly happened with the shovelers yesterday?
Worry about the ins and outs of that later. I need to head down to Scenic to get some emergency supplies to keep everyone here warm, well-fed, and safe. A relief train with more food, fuel, and men is due there today. But since the telegraph lines are down, I need to be physically present when it arrives. On the sly, Blackburn. I'm also considering a full-scale evacuation. I'll get a feel for the trail today to see if it's safe enough to get the women and children down to Scenic on foot. I'm going to take Big Jerry Wickham and a brakeman with me, just in case we run into any trouble. The loyal men remaining are barely enough to clear the switches in the Wellington yard. I'm not sure we have any realistic way out of here other than on foot.
O'Neill bade goodbye and made his way back to Scenic, trudging through the wet snowpack. The group of men had just passed the stranded double rotary plow at Windy Point when, without warning, a weak layer of snow collapsed on the mountain. The avalanche that spewed forth washed over the tracks in front of them, sweeping the trainman Big Jerry Wickham off the mountain. In the wake of witnessing the horrific sight of one of his own men being swallowed by the slide, O'Neill abandoned any further thoughts of evacuating the passengers on foot. In the train's observation car, the passengers were being slowly buried under fresh snow as they attempted an impromptu church service, fit for Sunday morning.
Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?
Amen.
When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell.
Excuse me. Hello. Sorry to bother you.
What is it, woman?
I overheard earlier that you're a fur trapper. You must know your way around the woods.
Certainly. I know more than most.
Well, you see, my son here is sick.
Oui, évidemment.
I heard that some of the attorneys are escaping on foot down to Scenic to take a westbound train. My son and I need to get to Seattle, and quickly. But I'm not sure we could make the trip alone. I'm wondering if I could pay you to guide us down there. I'm a bit hard up, but I do have $20 on me.
Down to Scenic, eh? You got two options. Walking along the snowed-out railroad for 7 miles, including through a long, pitch-black tunnel, or taking the shortcut down the 1,000-foot embankment, straight to Scenic. Désolé, mon cher, but either way, I am not going to take a couple of tenderfoots down there for anything.
Conductor! Conductor!
Mrs. Holliday, happy Sunday. Are you enjoying the service?
Yes, sir. Although, when I peer out the windows to take in the beautiful surroundings that are the work of our Lord himself, I can't help but notice that ominous snowcap atop the mountain.
Ma'am?
Won't you join me in prayer? I'd like to dedicate this to our snowy landscape. If I should die before the night, I pray the Lord my work's all right.
All right, ma'am. What's eating you?
Sir, some of the passengers will telegraph the Chamber of Commerce if we don't see any progress here soon.
Well, the wires are currently down. But how do you see us measuring progress here?
We've presented a few options about where the train could be moved to.
Ma'am, this is putting it right up to me. If I do not move the train and we have a slide, I will be to blame for it. And if I do move the train and we do not have a slide, and I use up all the coal we have moving the train, then I will be to blame for that. The superintendent instructed us to leave the trains where they stand. We earnestly believe the trains are already in the safest possible part of the mountain. Here's what I'll do, though. I'm walking down to Scenic tomorrow morning to help with the relief train. I'll see if it isn't possible for everyone, not just the men from earlier, to walk down to Scenic too, so that we can get you onto your final destinations.
But old ladies like me won't be able to walk all that way.
We'll figure something out, ma'am. For now, I need to start making preparations for tomorrow's departure.
Later that evening, morale had reached a new low. After the snowfall from the morning, the weather was warming up again, and an avalanche could be heard on the western side of the mountain. The two attorneys and two 18-year-old boys who had joined them arrived at Scenic safely, if not a bit imprudently, after continuing to hike through the snow despite the railman's warnings of a guaranteed instant death should they continue. After hours of hiking and making slow progress, the men decided to slide on their rears down the final 1,000-foot shortcut down to Scenic. The ride was bumpy, but they landed and walked the short remaining distance to the Scenic Hot Springs Hotel, where they shared a beer with the trainman, Big Jerry Wickham, who had nothing more than a few scratches and bruises to boast about after his fall. One of the attorneys stepped out to the Scenic telegraph station to write out a message to Wellington. Arrived safe, don't come. However, as the wires at Wellington were still down, the message would never be received.
Morning. Here's a couple more buckets of drinking water.
Where did you get that snow from?
Outside.
Well, obviously it's from outside. How far did you go? Don't lie, I was watching you.
Just right there.
Where all the men have been urinating? Heavens!
Look around you. What do you think we're doing here, woman? We're working nonstop to get you out of here. If you want to scout for pristine water, you're welcome to do it yourself.
Have a heart. That's no way to treat women and children.
You think that's bad? Lady, we're down to our last ton of coal. We're already transferring coal from the Fast Mail's engine to the Seattle Express just so we can keep the heat on for you passengers. Once the coal runs out, you will all need to start scavenging for wood on the mountain, too.
Oh dear, as if that were the last of our problems. That snow-capped mountain is looking more treacherous by the hour. I need to telegraph my husband.
And tell him what? That we're still stuck? C'est évidemment.
Why, mind your business.
Oh, go to blazes, man. Mrs. Holliday, don't bother. The telegraph wires are on the fritz again. They've only got them up for 5 hours last night. We can't even get a word from Scenic to know if those attorneys arrived safely yesterday. Since the snow is picking back up, our window of opportunity for leaving is coming to a close. We can't even see out of these windows anymore. I feel like I'm being buried alive. I'm going to have a chinwag with the conductor again.
Mr. Yamaguchi, I'm leading a troop of men down to Scenic today to help with the relief train and to restock on food. The trip will allow me to judge the practicality of leading an on-foot evacuation tomorrow.
You're abandoning us, Captain?
Now, don't go blue in the face on account of me. I'll make my way back tonight.
Yeah, if you don't kick the bucket while you're at it.
Look, I want us off this train more than anyone. I've got a wife and 5 kids waiting for me at home. And no offense to the hotel keeper, because we aren't starving, but I'm tired of eating the same beef every day just as much as the next fella.
I understand. Before you go, though, the passengers still want to be moved, either into the tunnel or onto the spur tracks.
It's out of the question. We have less than a ton of coal remaining. That's barely enough to fire up the engine, not to mention the tracks between here and there are buried in snow. The snowplows need coal to run, and all the men have walked off. I can't pull it off. I'm not saying you're in the wrong, but there's a chain of command you must know.
The only man I answer to, other than myself, is God.
Must be nice.
How is Mr. O'Neill doing?
O'Neill? He has too many irons in the fire as usual.
Isn't he sick?
No, he has not been sick. I don't think I've ever seen that man rest. He'll die before he ever falls ill.
Fiddlesticks, I swear I'll snap that man's head off if I ever get to meet him.
Leaving a fuming George behind, Pettit and his men made their way down to Scenic in the morning storm. Despite the whiteout conditions, the trail had improved so significantly overnight that Pettit and his men completed their descent to the Scenic hot springs in 1.5 hours' time, 3 times faster than the lawyers had completed their trip the day before. Upon arrival in Scenic, Pettit went immediately to the telegraph office to send the message to Wellington. Tell the passengers they can come out over the trail. However, the message would be sent in vain. Just as the operator prepared to transmit, the wires to Wellington went down again. Meanwhile, near Windy Point, the last surviving rotary on the western slope of the Great Northern's Cascade Line had stopped working.
Superintendent O'Neill, sir.
What is it now?
Well, you know how yesterday when the slides came down behind us and we couldn't return to Wellington to refuel on water?
Yeah, what of it?
And how you told us to start shoveling snow and dumping it into the tanks? Well, it seems the debris in the snow gummed up the works. We've got to idle the plow to clean the tank and the injectors. It'll be a few hours before we can get it working again.
Humbug. Who else can you put on it to help speed things along?
Sir, the men have been working the plow for the past 96 hours. They're completely run down. I know you've personally been out here for the past 30 of those, at least. Enough of the snow has fallen in the past week here to bury a 2-story house.
Why did I let those shovelers walk off on Saturday night?
Perhaps because you hadn't slept for 5 days.
That was a huge mistake. I was so nervous I'd piss off the bosses breaking the bank for those ridiculous wages. But now it's going to look like the Great Northern Railway Company refused to put passenger safety ahead of finances. We've cornered ourselves. Hill was going to skin me either way.
With all due respect, what's the point of this plowing, boss? Why not just evacuate the passengers on foot and leave this all behind?
Not after what happened to Big Jerry yesterday.
The weather keeps warming, and you know those rain-soaked snow layers in the mountains are a recipe for trouble. The trail's looking clearer than it was yesterday, but we'd still need a rotary to break a path for these trains. Mind you, there's no shortage of idle hands between Scenic and Wellington ready to pitch in.
For the right price.
Back on the Seattle Express,
Maybe we should make a getaway on foot.
Don't be foolish. We would need ropes and other devices. Let's wait for the snow shovelers from Scenic to arrive. Better yet, let's formally petition the superintendent. Again. So at least our demands will have been in writing.
and so George rallied the passengers to draft one last letter to O'Neill. They stated that they had been waiting 6 days at Wellington and appeared to be stuck for many more. They asked O'Neill to meet them on the train this evening so that they could make alternate arrangements for making their way down to Skycomish and beyond. Once finished, they brought the draft to O'Neill's business card, typed it up on his personal typewriter under Longcore's careful watch, and returned to the observation car, where 34 passengers signed it, eager for the superintendent to kiss their dust. But after the message was delivered, the passengers were flabbergasted to be greeted that evening not by O'Neill, but by his secretary.
Good gracious!
Are you in authority?
Yes, sir.
We asked to speak to the superintendent.
Well, he's busy right now, sir.
God-damned hoity-toity prick.
Well then, we want the next man in charge.
That would be Trainmaster Blackburn, ma'am.
Well then, send him over.
I am here to represent Mr. Blackburn, too, sir.
Fine. Listen up, then. You must have read the censure. Here are our demands. We want off this train. We need 50 men, one for every passenger, to take us over the trail. You will bring ropes and whatever other equipment necessary.
Absolutely not, madam. There are only 7 men left on payroll at Wellington. We couldn't possibly scrounge up 50 working men after the walkouts on Saturday.
That's not true. We overheard that a relief train arrived in Scenic last night. We know that the Great Northern sent 100 more railmen to work those damned rotary plows, when we both know they could better spend their time helping us escape from this death trap.
Respectfully, ma'am, there is no way the bosses are going to go for that.
Well, if you say so, then just write it down right here then. Document your refusal to help.
Look, ma'am, this is above my pay grade.
We know. That's why we want someone with authority, not you.
Okay, I'll go get Mr. Blackburn.
Now you've got it, lad.
Who sent for me?
Trainmaster, sir. We heard that 125 railmen arrived in Scenic. We ask that you please consider deploying them to Wellington.
Nonsense. I'm not going to pull men away from their line of duty. We've been delayed enough as it is. Hundreds of men have been shoveling and plowing 24 hours a day for a week now. If we stop now, it'll all have been for nothing.
At least send up some of your men. Surely you don't need them all at once. Some can help carry the women, children, and disabled passengers.
Stop that talk right now. If any of you men dare to leave the train, then you are doing so at your own risk and responsibility, not the company's. And as for the women, the weaker sex, our most vulnerable, I'll not allow them to be taken off. If I catch any of you trying to take any women out of here, I would not hesitate to use force to prevent it. It's too dangerous. You need to trust us and just sit tight a little longer.
Then move us into the tunnel. Save it. We know you're running low on coal. I'll chop wood for fuel. Hell, if we run out, we could even knock down the Wellington freight house and burn that too.
I can help with that.
Can it? I won't take any men off the last rotary at Scenic. That's a non-starter. But tomorrow morning, I'll give you a handful of the men at Wellington, whoever's left, to accompany just the male passengers who are willing to leave on foot.
What about the rest of us? The women, the children, and infirm. We don't even have a source of clean drinking water, and lack of proper sanitation on the train will soon become its own disaster.
Okay, I'll look into the hygiene issues and carry water for you, all right? That's the best I can do right now. Is that better?
That'll do, for now.
Later that evening, spirits ran high for the first time aboard the caravan. With the trainmaster's promise of additional help tomorrow morning, there was a noticeable air of relief among the passengers and crew, each who threw parties that lasted for hours into the night. Still, a cautious few remained ever diligent, plotting for tomorrow's escape.
Pettit, you made it back.
Look at you, night owls. Good evening, George. You're a tad bent out of shape, aren't you?
You bet your boots I am. We just cracked another bottle. Let me find you a glass.
What a relief. Thank goodness you're here. I'm glad we're finally getting the help we deserve.
I honestly had hoped you'd made it off the train already. Did you not receive my telegram?
Telegram? I think the wires have been down all day again. But I do feel a bit better about the whole situation, though. I just hate the thought of leaving you ladies behind. It's great news that the tracks are being cleared, but I don't feel any better about
I can't wait any longer. I don't care what Blackburn says. I need to get out of here, and my son included, if I'm to get any help for his condition. It's time to take matters into my own hands.
George, here's an idea. Since Blackburn said men only, why don't you be a good sport? See if any of the men are willing to offer their clothing to help. We could dress Louise up in some overcoats and trousers, and as long as no one slips up, she and the kid could escape unnoticed. In fact, you could even bribe some of the men here at Wellington to help you. You said earlier you were willing to spend $20. That's got to be more than they make in a week.
I'll happily throw another $80 on top of that for you and your child's safety.
I shouldn't be hearing this. I'm going to go ask the hotel keeper if we can prepare an early breakfast hash for those hiking out tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, I'll be tickled to death to be able to see my daughter's face again. She worries about me, but I have so much to tell her now.
Pettit, before you go, join me for a cigar outside.
The men stepped through the open vestibule of the car to gaze out at their snow-covered surroundings, the mountains glimmering like porcelain in the moonlight. They stood silently for a minute, finally appreciating the enchanting view that had, for the past week, been the source of their captivity.
Despite everything, it's magnificent. I don't think we'll ever see so much perfect, unspoiled snow again.
It is a pretty sight, but if this wind continues, we won't get out of here tomorrow.
Pettit, my man, don't be a wet blanket. You deserve to rest your mind for a bit.
Shortly after their conversation, around 1 a.m., everyone on the Seattle Express was winding down. Many of them had prepared for their final night, and all was still. The telegraph lines were dead. With so few men at Wellington, there was no raucous noise coming from the tavern. Wellington was quiet as a mouse until an electrical storm rolled into the area, lighting up the skies above Stevens Pass with thunderbolts. The mountains, having been plastered with layers of snow and ice over the past week, could easily loosen up with heavy rain. A single disturbance would send the whole mountainside tumbling. Minutes after George lay his head on his pillow, room still spinning from the booze, he was shaken awake by a familiar face.
Hey, now's the time. Blackburn has just gone to bed. We need to recruit the laborers before everyone is asleep.
Okay, now? Well, if you're certain, then let's get to the mail train. The railmen are staying in the car at the end.
As they stepped outside, the night sky was illuminated with lightning strikes, and it began raining pitchforks. The two passengers hurried to the end of the fast mail, where a few workers were playing their final round of hot rummy in the third class after having run dry on the whiskey a few hours prior. Everyone else had already wound down for the night.
Now what in the... Pipe this, Johnny. There's a couple of passengers at our door.
Gentlemen.
What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be back here in the railman's car.
Gentlemen, please, I come here asking for a favor.
Haven't we been doing enough for you folks? And you don't even appreciate what we do for you.
Let me try again. I'm offering payment.
What kind of payment?
$100 for the guaranteed safe arrival of my friend here to Scenic tomorrow morning.
Well, why are you offering us anything? Blackburn already told us we were to help you fellas down there tomorrow. What's wrong with your friend here?
Louise reached up to remove the borrowed bowler's hat from her head, sending her curly hair tumbling down to her shoulders.
Oh, like blazes I will. Blackburn would kill us. He specifically said only men, no women.
You asked what the $100 was for, my lad.
Now hold on real quick, Dirk. This is serious money. I mean, if we split this would be enough to cover room and board for the rest of winter and still have enough money left over.
The last thing I want to deal with is the wrath of the train master. He'd beat us bloody.
And who says he'd find out?
That's true. He barely knows what's going on without O'Neill telling him what to do anyway. Plus, he's so focused on the newly arrived batch of men keeping the rotary plow going. I doubt he'd even notice.
Mm-hmm. Admit I'm right.
You have a point. Okay. You've got yourself a deal.
Swell. Just one more thing. She will also be bringing her 5-year-old son.
What?
What?
He's sick, so he's real small for his age. You could carry him on your backs under your overcoats. No one would notice.
Now that's just unfair.
Look, men, you have a real chance to make a difference and save a woman and her child's life. This is an opportunity to create a legacy for yourselves instead of risking your necks for a company that couldn't care less whether you live or die.
Okay, I'll do it. I think I can manage the young lad.
Bless you, dear. Thank you so much. I owe everything to your generous spirit.
What was that?
Oh no,
What? What is it?
the White Death. Get out! Go! Get off this train! Follow me!
At 1:42 a.m. on Tuesday morning, March 1st, 1910, a weak layer of snowpack buried deep on Windy Mountain collapsed 1,000 feet above the trains, sending off a mass of snow towards Wellington.
Stop! My son! I have to get my son!
Over here! Come into the tunnel! It'll be safer!
Jordy!
There's no time!
Let go of me! Stop! Jordy!
Come on, lady!
Hurry! In here! There's a storage shed just inside! Get in! Quickly!
Jordy!
The train man opened a wooden door, revealing a dark, dug-out cell, and beckoned the others to hide inside. Before entering, they took one last look at the snow rising like a tsunami in the distance. Some surviving witnesses at Wellington claimed it was a strike of lightning that triggered the avalanche. Others insist it was the percussive sound of thunder creating sonic waves throughout the mountain. The facts are, a wet slab of snow 10 feet deep broke free from the side of Windy Mountain, half a mile long and a quarter mile wide, raising everything in its path, snapping tree trunks and picking up momentum as it plunged toward the trains and buildings below. Most of the approximately 125 people aboard the train that night were sleeping and never heard the avalanche approach. But the few who lay awake could distinctly recall the sound of snow lifting and then splintering the wooden train cars and shattering glass against the rocky snow-covered ravine 150 feet below.
Anyone there? I need your help. Hello? Is anyone there? Please, hurry.
When it was all over, the trains were buried under 50 feet of snow debris at the bottom of the hill. The few men at the surviving depots in Wellington assisted the 24 people who had miraculously survived the fall. And while the Cascade Tunnel remained standing, the seismic force from the snow, timber, and rocks caused the wooden framed shed to collapse, killing those trapped inside in a matter of minutes, or seconds if they were lucky. Among those who perished aboard the trains that night were Conductor Pettit, Stenographer Longcoy, Mrs. Holliday, Trainmaster Blackburn, and yes, even little Geordie. Their causes of death ranged from blunt force trauma to hypothermia to suffocation beneath the snow, where the vapor from their screams formed an ice mask froze into their faces, growing thicker with each futile breath. To this day, some say the town of Wellington remains haunted by the spirits of the passengers who never reached their final destination.
Back at Wellington, Ranger Hubert Hill stood near the crumbling foundation of an old coal tower. Hastily buried beneath the branches and snow lay the body of a skier, dead for 3 days, and claimed thanks in part to the restless ghosts that haunted the area. In the shallow, frozen grave, the skier's face was locked in terror, a ghastly snapshot of his final moments. The man our young friends had dubbed Ranger Creepy lived up to the name, speaking in a one-sided macabre conversation with the makeshift tomb.
Ugh, I didn't ask for any of this, you know. Great-Grandpa Hill was a visionary. He did whatever he wanted. Sometimes sacrifices had to be made, but he never wanted to see anyone dead. You know those old papers really did a hatchet job painting him like some kind of villain. He may have been powerful, but not the kind of power that could have stopped a goddamned avalanche. No one could have seen that coming. And what does that leave me with? This fucking legacy. Supposed shame. But you know what? I'm not ashamed. And I'm not one to leave mess without cleaning it up. This job, this sacred duty, I take it seriously. If those spirits won't move on, then I'm gonna make sure they stay quiet. But it's people like you who go poking around where they don't belong that mess it all up. This site, the tunnel, the snow shed is dangerous. It doesn't matter how many times we say it or how many signs we put up. Idiots like you and those kids just keep coming. It stirs them up. And then it's my job to calm them back down, keep people away. I'll do what needs to be done, and I won't hesitate to use force again to prevent all this. If there's one thing I've learned during my vigil, it's that I'd never risk the sanctity of this place by allowing the media and a bunch of tourists to crawl all over it. So I couldn't let you leave after having seen what you'd seen. I hope you know, it wasn't personal. You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now hold on, who's that? You've got to be kidding me. It's those kids again. Doesn't matter how much I hope and pray, they never leave well enough alone once they've had a taste of what's really going on up here. At least I prepared for this. Time to get my hands dirty again. Well, friend, don't you go anywhere.
And that's when I told her Chuck Norris never sleeps. He only waits.
Oh, how convenient. Trail closed due to aggressive bear activity.
Don't bears hibernate during the winter?
Well, yeah, but sometimes they can wake up if they didn't get enough food or...
Or a creepy-ass ranger needs a convenient excuse to keep people away.
Yeah, this does seem way too convenient.
So we're ignoring this then?
We're too close. I'm not letting a sign stop me. This is for Lily.
For Lily.
Yeah. For Lily.
Okay, now that we're here, let's recap the facts. 2 Great Northern Railway Company trains were stuck outside the west portal of the Cascade Tunnel at Wellington for 6 days. Despite the hopeless nature of the task due to frequent changing weather conditions and a worker walkout, the railway, under James J. Hill's leadership, ordered the trains and passengers to stay in place. As a result, at least 96 people died, probably a few more due to poor record keeping and unknown number of railmen sleeping on the train that night. In the end, the railway seemed more remorseful over the loss of their equipment and their faith in the general public and shipping industry than over any of the loss of lives of their employees or passengers who tragically died. Oh, and the ranger is definitely the great-grandson of James J. Hill. He is guarding this area for some unknown reason, and we need to find out why and expose it to the world. I think it has something to do with the ghosts who are haunting this place. Did I forget anything?
I'm trying to think of a pun.
No time.
Here, take this walkie.
Why?
In case we get split up. I told you guys, I have a bad feeling about this trip. So it's better to be over-prepared just in case anything happens. Jake has one too, so we're all covered.
Okay. Hello? Paging Mr. Creepy.
Shh! Hazel!
What?
You never know who's listening.
What? Are you serious?
Jake has a point. We don't want to draw any unnecessary attention.
Okay. I'll behave.
Where do you want to go first?
Please, not the tunnel.
Agreed. How about the snow shed? Let me get the EMF meter ready this time, though, so I can at least get a warning if they come for me again.
The young adults proceeded up the trail toward the all-concrete snow shed. 3-story-high pillars supported a sloped roof that spanned a quarter-mile long, fortifying the former railroad against a historic snowstorm that would never return, while the tracks through Wellington remained active. Along the path under the snow shed, A wood-frame sign listed the names of all those who had perished in the avalanche, giving explorers the impression of having wandered into the maw of topside catacombs that stood slightly too tall.
It's okay, buddy. Just breathe. Here, let's step out onto this walkway over here and see what the lookout is for.
This is where the train sat before the avalanche knocked them off the tracks.
Okay, here it goes. Hello, spirits? Are you there? Anyway, this is Jake. Lily, never mind, actually. How do you stop? Okay. Hello, spirits? Are you there? Anyway, this is Jake. Lily, never mind, actually. How do you stop? Okay.
Oh no.
Is that Lily?
No, Jake, that's a little kid.
No, that sounded just like her. Listen.
Jake, stop. Let's keep moving forward. It's a sign that we're onto something. Don't let them get in your head.
Oh, shit!
Hazel, it's okay.
Not that! That!
Jake and Andy turned around to see that the presence which now stood before them was none other than Ranger Hill, red in the face with anger and blocking their narrow exit off the wooden platform back to the snow shed where they could escape. The trio's backs were against the wooden railing of the viewpoint that elevated them above a steep hillside full of snow-covered rocks and rusted railroad debris. The Ranger's hand was gripping the service pistol mounted on his hip as he confronted them.
Greetings, Darklings! Ron here, co-creator of Dark Northwest. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 7 of Dark Northwest. We want to give a big shout out to our Acolytes of the Dark on Patreon, who helped make this episode possible. Shanzan, Greg, and JP. An extra special thank you goes to our Heroes of the Dark, my old adventuring buddy, Mr. Bond, Dr. Steve, who is somehow not the tallest fan of Dark Northwest, Rainbow, who wants to welcome any friends of DeSoto that came to listen from our Jumbotron on the Greatest Trek podcast, and Zachary Smith, who paid me to say he's my personal favorite. If you'd like to support this independent production and get access to bonus content, visit patreon.com/darknwpodcast. For more information, including sound effect attributions, check out darknw.com. Join us next week for episode 8 of Dark Northwest.